And tonight there's even more outrage on a story that shocked everyone who saw it, but it's not what you think. High school cheerleaders taped by a perverted producer who sold his videotapes on the internet. Now, we were the first ones to expose this video story, and many of our viewers were outraged, but get this, they're blaming the cheerleaders' parents. One viewer wrote us saying, maybe the parents of these girls who are so outraged also need to take a look at the practice of parading their underage daughters around in those skimpy outfits. That's from Larry Ross, who wrote our show. Joining me now is Sheila Noone. She's the editorial director of American Cheerleader magazine, and also Texas State Representative Al Edwards, who wants to ban what he calls suggestive performances at high schools. Sheila, first to you, what do you think of that email that we just got in saying the parents shouldn't put their kids in those skimpy outfits?
I think it's wrong on so many levels. I mean, no one does this to other athletes. There are other athletes that wear uniforms that are equally revealing, just as equally less revealing. No one does this to tennis players, to volleyball players, to field hockey players. I think it's outrageous, and it's taking the attention off of what happened, which is these cheerleaders have been taken advantage of and exploited for profit. It's terrible.
Let me bring in Representative Edwards. What's your reaction? I mean, do you think cheerleading is just in and of itself, sexually suggestive behavior?
Well, the proof is in the eating of the pudding. The fact of the matter is it has gone too far. And
how's it gone too far?
Well, when I say it's going too far, some of the dress are so provocative. Some of the moves, the acts, and the dances are too sexually oriented.
I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. This is crazy. You're holding cheerleaders to different standards than you do to other athletes.
No, it's not crazy. We're talking about us, really young girls being taught to drop it low. All the names that you call those is not necessary. It wasn't done the day when you were in school.
A man
and these
with
are the
perverted
kind of
motives.
things that's happening. This is just like that guy is exploiting those young girls. That's what's happening a lot of times when they leave these football games.
But then are you saying, Representative, like no male gymnastics, no tennis? What are you saying?
No, we're talking about young girls, even beyond
But is there
teenagers.
a double standard? I think Sheila's question is a fair one. Or is that a double standard? You're singling out women, young women.
Well, look at your basketball players out on the field. They have on, their bodies are not exposed except for their shoulders and their legs.
What about wrestlers? There's so many other ways we could spin this. I just disagree with you so strongly. These girls have been exploited. That's the point of this story.
Sheila, let me play. This is from two of the parents we talked to whose kids were actually videotaped as we're looking at some of these clips. They're livid just in general. Let me play. This is what two of the parents had to say.
I don't want that out on the internet. That's my daughter. I don't want to. This is really upsetting.
Are they going to try and make contact with my daughter, her friends?
So Representative Edwards, when you see that, I mean, should the schools be punished too? I mean, where do you draw the line?
Well, I passed the resolution in the Texas legislature that said that we don't want those overly sexy moves going on among our schools and having our children doing it. And the Commissioner of Education wrote to the superintendents of all the schools in Texas, and she said to them to make sure they use their good common sense in monitoring this situation because it was out of hand.
So Sheila, go ahead. Good common sense?
I'm sorry?
Sheila, what do you think?
I think it's crazy. I've seen the video from that game that was filmed. I mean, those girls were not dancing provocatively. They were not dressed provocatively.
Well, I don't know what hole you've had your head buried in,
There is no other athletic activity, I think, where parents are more involved than cheerleading. Mothers know exactly what their cheerleaders are doing. They know their routine. They know what
Sheila,
they're doing.
let me put a little quote here. This is from another viewer, because we were very surprised. After we did the segment last week, we were just bombarded with emails, and a lot of them criticizing the parents. Here's another one. It says, videos and eBays are a fact of life. Parents need to not be so dense and think things through before putting their daughters in a position where they could be exploited. I mean, do you think parents need to be responsible here, Sheila?
I don't think anyone can be responsible for the perverted motives of this other man. Yes, I think everyone has to be aware. If you see someone videotaping a game inappropriately, maybe from the ground up, yes, question that. But
Sheila, that's
sorry,
just
Sheila, what do you say to these people? What do you say to Representative Edwards and others?
Listen, that's just like saying people on the streets who sell drugs to our children, we shouldn't bother about what they do. We must take responsibility as adults for these children. And let me tell you, I don't know where your head has been buried, what hole it's been in, but we have allowed this to go too far.
No, I strongly disagree. No one has seen more cheerleaders this year than I have. I have seen at least 50,000 cheerleaders this year alone. I do not think we can place any of the blame on these athletes. It takes away from what they do. They work very hard to get where they are. And
but it doesn't take all of that overly sexy dancing and dressing the way they're dressing.
This treatment.
And listen, the picture that you may have seen about the girls who won national cheerleaders contest in the whole nation from Victoria, Texas, from down at Memorial High School, they said that you could not win if you had overly sexy moves of any kind.
Let me interrupt both of you, because let me put up a full screen. This is another comment. This is from another viewer, too, who puts us on the other side. It says, you know they televise the cheerleading national championship, Sheila. You know that better than anyone. Let's sue ESPN. Where do we draw the line? Where do we stop this, Representative Edwards?
The motives are different. The ESPN shows are showing the athletic prowess
yeah, but Representative Edwards, do we go after ESPN? Do we go after everybody who's televised these things?
Well, I think parents and teachers should be called on the carpet. I think parents should say to their teachers they're not going to have it, and those principals and counselors should say to the teachers, like we've done here in Texas,
let me interrupt.
that we're not going to have it.
Yeah. Let me give Sheila. Sheila, you get the last word.
Yeah, I just don't think we can forget that this man did something that I consider a crime. He came into a game, he exploited the cheerleaders. I mean, you could do this at any other event. It would be just as wrong. If you did it for tennis players, if you did this for volleyball players, beach volleyball players, anything would be wrong. You can't call these girls on the carpet for something a pervert did.
All right, bias is going to have to be the last word, everybody. Thank you very much. Certainly
Thank you.
A very hot topic. Love to have you both back on again. Thank you. And there's a lot more coming up here on MSNBC.